listening to The Cell on WGRN 94.1, brought to you by the Faith Thomas Foundation. I'd like to welcome back our listeners this week. We've had, the Faith Thomas Foundation has had a lot going on, and it's a pleasure to be back with you guys. We have a special guest with us this evening, but as always, before I even get started, you know, I need to say hello to my crew. So I'd like to say hello to Katie Pettifer, who's my producer today.
Hello.
And I'm actually the sole host today. So, with that being said, our special guest that we have back with us is Nicole Mckinney. And Nicole, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but she was on one of our programs for Be the Match. And Nicole has had a stem cell transplant, and she is a survivor of cancer. And her transplant was successful. So Nicole has been doing some advocacy work, or when she had came to our program last year in September, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Well, first of all, I need to say hello.
Hello.
How you doing, babe? I just started going on, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I didn't even say hello to the young lady. You know, welcome her.
That's fine.
Well, welcome back, baby girl.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke at our September event.
I did. Thank you for that opportunity.
Oh, and she talked about heroes, and I kind of think that on one of our other programs after that, I had kind of mentioned about how well that you had talked and how everyone can be a hero.
Yes.
In regards to getting tested to see whether or not if they could be a match for stem cell.
Absolutely.
And you had said that some other things had came up and you were realizing that this might be your calling.
Yes.
So could you go ahead and tell us a little bit about, that?
Well, as I said before, the last time I was here, this caught me totally out of the blue. Like, no one in my family had ever been sick from cancer like this. No one had, and just to let the listeners know, I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia in February of 2016. So now we're coming up on 3 years of my diagnosis, and I'm talking to you. I'm still here, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
And initially, when I would say about 20 years ago, a little bit, maybe 25 years ago, when I was living in Chicago, I signed up for Be the Match. I signed up to be a person to help someone else. There was a young girl in my church. She needed donors, stem cell donors, and or bone marrow transplant. And I did it hoping I could, that I could help, that I could help.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't a match for her, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But I did keep myself updated and, kept myself on the list. Every time that they wanted to, every time I moved, I kept it updated. So I said all that to say it's really ironic that I would need it myself. Mm-hmm. And I would have to go to that same resource that I never would think that I would need to go to. So after that, and after seeing, being in the hospital for quite some time, I saw that was one of those things that a person could really do and not suffer from it. You don't have to die for it. And so I feel like I need to share it. I feel like I need to share that you can help someone. And a lot of times we get all caught up in what we're doing in our lives and think, you don't think anything of it. I never thought about being a stem cell donor or bone marrow transplant donor before I was approached by organizations such as Be the Match.
Yeah.
So I do thank them, and that's, in fact, I'm helping out. I'm volunteering this weekend to talk to an organization about donation, about signing up for the registry. Okay,
well, that's part of that advocacy work you were talking about, that you felt strong, more so about what it is that you wanted to do.
Yes.
So we were glad that you came and spoke to us about your experience with stem cell. I myself, I think, said that when my daughter was sick, nobody ever spoke to me about stem cell and her possibly, us trying to find a match for her to help cure her, because stem cell it's a cure for sickle cell, but it's not a universal cure. In regards to that, even though an individual has sickle cell, and even the same with cancer, there's certain conditions that you have to meet to be even eligible to even get a stem cell transplant.
Absolutely.
And then there's, even after that, there's still a whole lot of complications and things that, can still happen. So, and then you not be cured. Yes. So, you're blessed.
Oh, I'm so blessed.
Yes.
I mean, look, the reason I know I'm blessed
because you're still here.
Because I'm still here.
Yes, praise God.
The reason I know that, and particularly here in Columbus, a popular news personality, weatherman Chris Bradley, he succumbed to acute myeloid leukemia.
Yes, yes.
Which is the same leukemia that I was diagnosed with. And it was interesting because I would sometimes see him coming in and out of clinic, and sometimes he looked okay, other times not so much. And I remember overhearing his husband speak about stem cell transplant. And I was so excited. I'm like, okay, I'm getting their conversation, but I'm like, excuse me, I just want to let you know I had a stem cell transplant, and, things are going to be, they should, work okay, So, unfortunately, it didn't work for him. I mean, he did.
Did he actually have the stem cell transplant?
He had a transplant. They have different types of stem cell
transplant.
I've seen it. And I'm not, scientific enough to get into all the different types.
Okay.
But the one that he was going to do was where they used his own stem cells and did something to re-engineer them and then gave them back to him to fight the cancer. So that didn't work for him. They tried immunotherapy on him. And see, this, when we talk about the James, which is a hospital that I went to, they always say every cancer is a different cancer. And that's true, because although we were diagnosed with the same cancer, the treatments they did different treatments. When I was diagnosed, my doctor said we couldn't do the one where I use my stem cells. He's like, that won't work for you. We're going to be very aggressive with you because this cancer is very aggressive. So everything is different for everyone, and so sometimes it's hard. And I had people who were in the hospital with me as well. They didn't make it. And it makes you wonder why. You have the same, when you have the same thing, I have. Why aren't they alive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it's amazing.
Yeah.
And people always are going to wonder why me, or why this person, or why didn't this work for me, or why didn't the miracle take place, for me? Because I know that when I was there with my daughter, there were other kids that were coming out of certain things, and they did not think that those kids were going to make it. And however they did. So then when it came to me, I went into, why am I not getting a miracle here? Why is this, happening to me?
Yes.
So I know that some people, when you share your story, just like how you said, it works for some things. Some things work for some people, and some things don't.
And sometimes as a person who survived it, you almost have a little bit of survivor's guilt, and a lot of people don't understand that as well. And it's not that you're not happy to be alive. It's not that you're not glad that something worked for you. It's that you wish it would have worked for them too.
Worked for them too.
Yes, you wish it would have worked for them too. In fact, one of the ladies who was on the floor with me, her sister was kind to me because I was kind to her sister. We were both on the same floor. I made butterflies for her room and stuff like that to try to cheer her up. And so she passed on. And one day we went to lunch, and her daughter asked her, how can you go out with her knowing that she lived and my auntie didn't?
I know exactly what you're talking about, because I felt the same way with being with young kids. And how did your kid survive this and mine did not?
Yes.
And it's hard. But yet you have to recognize that it's not that kid or that family's fault.
Absolutely.
And then deal with your emotions and feelings, recognize your emotions and feelings, and then work through it.
And absolutely. That's all
I still feel that way right now. And it's been years, since 2002. And I don't experience it like I did years ago, but yet I still do experience those thoughts when I meet young kids or young adults, and they share their story with me, or they have the same disease as my daughter has had. And that thought goes through, but it goes and it moves on.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because I had stem cell transplants, I said before. My brother was the donor for me.
Correct.
My brother was not a full match. And I was just saying that to say that they're making so many advances every day. They're making so many advances. So one of the things that we have to remember is that what didn't work 20 years ago, what they didn't have 20 years ago, they're doing something every single day.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. I mean, that's the reason why it's important for us to continue with research on everything it is that we do. So hopefully, individual will continue to support bone marrow transplant and stem cells, so that they can help people to survive.
Yes, most definitely. Because a few years ago, as I said, my doctor said it wouldn't have worked for me with my brother being a partial match.
Yeah.
But it worked this time.
Well, that's so funny that you say that. The Faith Thomas Foundation will be hosting a couple of health fairs this year.
Okay.
And one of them happens to be I'm already going into my little identification thing here, but I'm letting you guys know we have a health fair coming up on April the 20th at Woodward Park Community Center. But we also have one coming up on July 13th on the Lowe's parking lot in Whitehall.
Okay.
And with that, we have the American Red Cross Bloodmobile will be there. So when I met with her, I said, well, I've never gave blood before. And she said, why not? I said, because I'm a diabetic. And I said, I was told I couldn't give blood. She said, oh, you can give blood now. I said, excuse me? I said, so here, I didn't even know that at what point. But
the rules have changed.
Yeah, that the rules have changed. And just like what you were talking about, what happened some 10 or 15 years ago, just with how advanced medicines are, so I was like, oh, great, I get to give my first blood transfusion.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited about that. And
I thank God for the Red Cross as well, because I had lots of blood.
Really?
Yeah.
So, but how much blood did you think that you got? I mean...
Well, there are different types, of course. The full blood, the plasma. Mm-hmm. So I had mostly plasma and white blood cells.
And that was during your procedure?
That was going up to my procedure, after my procedure, just to keep my levels at a good point.
Okay. So automatically we have there that outside of Be the Match, we have the American,
yes,
Red Cross.
Donate,
to keep up with that research. So, yes. What we're going to do is go ahead and do an identification break. We're going to do an identification break here. So I want to thank WGRN for allowing the Faith Thomas to have the platform to come on and do our program called The Cell. The Faith Thomas Foundation does have a couple of things which are coming up this year for 2019. It's called Save That Date. We have a bowling event coming up on April the 13th. It'll take place on a Saturday at Columbus Square Bowling Palace. So hopefully you guys can come out and make it, to that to help us support, our big fundraiser that we're going to have in September, which is September the 6th. We have our Red Diamond Gala, which is a big fundraiser for OSU Medical and Nationwide Children's Hospital. This year is taking place at the Boathouse at the Confluence Park. So hopefully you guys will, reach out and come out that way. We'll have stuff posted as we get closer to each event. And like I've already said, we got these wellness and safety fairs coming up. So hopefully you guys can make those too. One of the things that Nicole had brought up to me, I didn't kind of got into these little intermissions and having a little song. And I had a totally different song picked out. And then when I ended up speaking to Nicole, I asked her, I said, Nicole, what song had helped you get through what it is that you're going through? You got a song that you like for me to play. So she happened to give me a song. And who is that song by?
Tim McGraw.
And what is the name of that song?
Live Like You're Dying.
Live Like You're Dying. So with that being said, I'd like to take a few moments for us to listen to this song. And it's a pretty deep song. So I know that it can, once you listen to the words, that it will impact you. And if you're going through something right now, that this song will actually help you. So with further ado, here we go with Tim McGraw.
Said I was in my early 40s with a lot of life before me, when a moment came that stopped me on a dime. I spent most of the next days looking at the x-rays, talking about the options and talking about sweet time. I asked him when it sank in that this might really be the real end. How's it hit you when you get that kind of news? man, what'd you do? And he said, I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Blue Manchu. And I loved deeper, and I spoke sweeter, and I gave forgiveness I've been denying. And he said, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. He said I was finally the husband, and most of the time I wasn't. And I became a friend would like to have. And all of a sudden going fishing wasn't such an imposition. And I went 3 times that year, I lost my dad. Well, I finally read the good book, and I took a good long hard look at what I'd do if I could do it all again. And then I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Blue Manchu. And I loved deeper, and I spoke sweeter, and I gave forgiveness I've been denying. And he said, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. Like tomorrow was a gift, and you got eternity to think about what you do with it. What did you do with it? What did I do with it? What would I do with it? Skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Blue Manchu. And I loved deeper, and I spoke sweeter, and I watched an eagle as it was flying. And he said, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. To live like you were dying. To live like you were
Oh, wow. That was a beautiful song, and I hope that our listeners out there really enjoyed it. I know that I wished I would have known about that song when I was going through my healing process or going through some of the things that I'm going through. Now that I know that it's there, I will be listening to the song.
It's a good one to add to your list.
Yeah. So what was it about the song, and then that you liked about it?
Well, I mean, if the listeners pick it up or listen to it again, the words right away, he said I was in my early 40s, so was I. And with a lot of life before me. Because you never think, you're at that point where you're like, okay, I still got a lot of time. And that moment just came and stopped you on a dime. We were in a doctor's office, and you have cancer. Okay. It was at one point, the doctor was talking, and my sister, she said, excuse me, doctor. And then she goes, do you know what he just said to you? Because I was just sitting there like you can't see me. But I was just sitting there just kind of staring ahead.
Yeah, dumbfounded,
mostly. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, he said I have cancer, and it's curable, but it's going to be hard. She goes, okay, keep talking. That type of thing. So I was just kind of sitting there. You don't know how to take it. You just have to okay, well, we got to do this. We got to do this.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, I think about, now that I'm getting older, you know what I'm saying? I think about these things, and I know that I'm not heading in the other direction. I'm heading towards the direction.
You're not Benjamin Button.
Yeah, so it's like, I need to make the most of what I can do right now. And one of the things that you said, and that helped me, is that you get to live a second life. You get to live your life over again.
Exactly.
And I think that was one of the things that I got out of, when you were talking and about your hero. And so it's like, what can I do to make an impact on the people that I surround myself with today?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
each day it's like, how can I make a difference in someone's life, and I want peace and I want happiness.
Yes.
Because I know one day God's going to take me up out of here. And when he does, I want memories, good memories.
You
I
want
want
to have
people
a
to.
good impact on someone or something.
So the last time we spoke, when you were here, you were kind of talking about, I know that you said that you had some ideas about what you wanted to do. And we kind of talked about, you getting into the advocacy work. Like you said, you have something I think you shared with the audience.
Yeah, I have it on Saturday. And Danny, she was like the last time we were on, she asked me to speak to an organization about Be the Match and about my experience.
Yeah.
And how they were looking for a match for me.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you've taken the steps to start getting ready to get out here, to speak about it.
And you gave me the first opportunity to do that, to actually speak out loud.
I know you were kind of nervous when you came on this show.
I was nervous, yeah. You gave me the opportunity to speak out here, and then when you asked me to come to the gala, I was honored, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to say? And my sister, she's like, you got this, just be you, just do you. And I'm like, okay. And so that's what I did. Whenever I tell people my story, they're all like, you should write a book. You should write a book. And God is working with me on that.
Okay.
I've gotten confirmation from many different areas, from people offering to get my cover design for me, to offering to do a logo.
Girl, you gotta have Tim McGraw come and sign that book.
I know, right?
Hey Tim, if you listening.
Hey Tim, if you're listening, you may be surprised.
I know.
And so those are things that I'm working on. In addition, just because I'm only one me, so I'm trying to figure out a way I can share my story with others, and everybody get to hear it. And I know my story is not unique or special, but it's my story, and it may be able to help someone else get through their story.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and not just someone else get through their story, but it didn't happen to me, but I was impacted by something. As you said, those individuals who did not make it, I was impacted by that same death or the loss of something. But yet your story still resonates with me, and the positiveness that you have when you talk about your story. And I do believe, and I'm even sitting here looking at you right now, that there's a certain light that shines through you.
Thank you so much.
And it gives me hope, that to have such a positive attitude. So when I sit back and I think about some of the things that I went through, it's like, you haven't been through anything with this young lady who has been through something, and God has blessed you to be able to come through on the other side and to share your story, with other individuals, and to be an inspiration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, we had talked previously about positivity and how it can play a role in just getting better and your influence on people. One thing that my sister has said to me before, and she said, I've always respected you, but I gained a new respect for you going through this. And that made me feel good. It's like, wow, I didn't, what do you mean by that? And she's like, to see you go through this. And to me, I was just going through it.
Yeah.
You don't know when, for her to say that to me, that I made an impact on her as a person. And when I was in the hospital, I didn't always feel happy. I mean, I didn't always feel good. I didn't want to be there, but I knew those people who were there were helping me. So I made sure to say thank you and good morning. And I named I decorated my IV pole, and I named her Serena because she was a beast. I put it on Facebook. I'm like, we looking for names for the IV pole. I need and you'll win a T-shirt. I made Team Nicole shirts. I made Team Nicole glasses, and I gave them to the nursing staff. My sister brought my little maker, my Cricut machine up there for me. I put butterflies on my windows. I decorated, because if people and the staff will come in and sit with me. I'm like, what are you doing here? Is it your lunch? Like, what do you need? They say, no, I just like being in your room.
Okay.
And so you don't know how you affect people.
Other people. Mm-hmm.
When you're going through what you're going through. Days I didn't want to get up, they would make a deal with me. Okay, if you get up, you can lay here now, but you have to get up at 6:00 to walk. You know, you can lay here, but you got to open your shades. Yeah. You got to let some light in.
But not only did you impact your nurses, you went to other people's rooms, like you said, and you spread that joy and happiness to those other individuals. Rooms,
and I gained a couple of friends that way. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm crafty, so I had my little machine, so I made butterflies and flowers and put them up. I put up pictures for other people in their rooms when I felt like doing that. So I did try to do that and try to help. And while I was off before I went back to work, I volunteered.
Okay.
I volunteered, and I was on the same floors that I was a patient on. And sometimes when I go to the room, one of the rooms I was in, I'm like, I was in this room. Mm-hmm. And look at me, I'm volunteering. They would be so happy. Most people would be like, oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. And you're up volunteering?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes. And you can too. So that was one of my great pleasures. Most times I could only talk to 2 or 3 people because everybody wanted to talk, if they felt well.
I need to ask you a question. How is your brother doing? Since he was the one who donated the stem cells to you, how is he doing?
My brother's doing well. Physically, he's doing well. The stem cell transplant, or them harvesting the stem cells, was it was inconvenient in the sense he had to take shots a few days before. He was in the hospital overnight because they had to take 2 days to get the number of stem cells I needed. But he was able to rejuvenate the stem cells like in a couple of weeks. Okay. So the effect on him wasn't bad. My brother does have a congenital heart defect, so they were a little worried about that, but it turned out to not really be an issue. It's almost like a blood donation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a blood donation or plasma donation.
Okay. Well, Nicole, we're running out of time here, and I know, but I would like to invite you to come back at, a little bit further, within the year, because I like to know how your advocacy work is doing, what you're doing, and the positive things that you're, girl, don't be making that face, because if I have to sit back and, wait a second, no. Well, I mean, it could be in the year, before the year's out, I'm going to ask you to come back. I need if I got to call up some folks and say, hey, I got somebody who can speak for your organization, and I give your name, then I'm going to call you up and say, hey, Nicole, they got this date here, okay? Right. So, if I happen to run across somebody, during the health fairs that I do and stuff, that subject come up, you're going to be the first name that comes out of my mouth. So get your business cards ready for me, okay?
Sure. Okay, I will do that.
All right, get your business, because we're working towards the pro. You got to walk towards it.
Yes.
Business cards.
Yes.
Come up with your name,
I will
okay?
do that.
All right. So what I like to do is thank Katie for producing us tonight. And like I said, Nicole, I'm looking forward to you coming before this year's out, because I'm expecting to hear the growth. Absolutely. Because I do believe in you, and I'm going to help push you. Okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So with that being said, this is Felice. Peace out. Well, that's the end of today's show. I want to thank you for listening to The Cell on WGRN 94.1. You can find us on Facebook or at faiththomasfoundation.org for more information on our upcoming events. Join us every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. here on WGRN.